Heidi died after falling into an outdoor pool, and Rick, that was 20 years ago since you lost Heidi. What happened?
Well, it was a typical kind of case where, I mean, I thought she was with Marietta. It was a Sunday lunchtime. We had a big house at the time, and I thought Heidi was at the other end of the house with Marietta. And of course she thought that she was watching telly with me. Yeah. And it's that, the old story, where's Heidi? Well, I thought she was with you. And, you know, the fear sets in straight away. Where is she? But you really don't expect that anything like that has actually happened. You don't, you know. And that, I think that's kind of the problem. We don't think it's going to happen to us, you know. It's kind of like, you know, doing the lottery, you know. Oh, I'll never win. It won't happen to me. But it can happen, you know, and that's what I think everybody's got to be aware of. It's going to be somebody else's child. It's not going to be mine. But there is that chance that it can be, and you can't be too careful. You just can't.
Especially since these things, these water features, they're associated with pleasure and relaxation and fun and children enjoying themselves. Now, I know it's very, very difficult for you to talk about this, but with these accidents still occurring, obviously you now think something has to be done somewhere by somebody.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's relatively simple. I mean, if you've got a pool in your back garden, if you can afford to have a pool in your back garden, you can afford to fence it. I mean, I was reading the thing about, you know, fill it in. You don't necessarily have to be that drastic, I suppose. I mean, there is child-proof fencing, which, I mean, it doesn't look very glamorous, but I mean, at the end of the day, does that matter? And I think it's the same with ponds anywhere in the local area, wherever, you know, somebody might live. Check it out, and if there's a pond over the other side of the meadow there, or whatever, you know, how on earth can anybody relax knowing that the kids are out playing? You know, it's the thing, there are ducks on the pond, and kids, you know, it's muddy, whatever, you can slip, and of course there's no bouncing back from the bottom of a pond, like there can be from the bottom of a swimming pool. You know, at least you can bounce up again. You can't in a pond. So there's got to be some kind of body set up. Well, this is what I would do anyway. Set up a local committee to police any water that's in anybody's local area and do something about it. Fill it in or put a fence around it, because at the end of the day, the consequences are devastating. And anybody who it hasn't happened to, and God forbid it ever will, but you just don't know how that feels, and so don't let it happen.
How did you and Heidi then deal with not only the loss of Heidi, but living forgive me, Marietta, deal with the loss of Heidi, with living in that house then and that pool being there?
Well, I drained the pool immediately, and I never went in it again. And I suppose in a way I was fortunate, because I buried myself in my work. You know, I went out on the road with a band and kind of got over it that way. But I mean, for Marietta, who had to stay there, we left her room exactly the same. One tends not to want to change it, you know, and we just left it. Although it's agonizing, you leave it. And how she dealt with it, I don't know. I dealt with it in my own way, and unfortunately, I mean, we weren't, the marriage wasn't very good at the time, so we didn't give one another an awful lot of strength, and but as I say, I was able to go out on the road, but how she dealt with it, but it's just so devastating. The message is, you know, don't let it happen. You know, put a fence around the pool.
Yeah, it's something you hope no one else has to deal with. Unfortunately, Rick, 62 children died last year in this country with similar sort of accidents.
And it will continue to happen until people realise, I mean, individually or a body of people, you know, if you've got a pool at home, or paddling pools, anything, if there's not somebody there all the while. And of course we think, well, you know, you're sitting there watching, it's a nice sunny afternoon, the phone rings, you think nothing of it, you dash off, and it can be that quick, you know, you've just got to be so careful.
Well, Rick, thanks a million for telling us the story. I know it's very, very difficult for you, but I know the message is very important to you. Thank you very much indeed.